Welcome. You're tuned into Tangled Threads. If you're digging our content, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you. From the moment I met Pat, I knew he was the one. Our love was the sort that felt like it had been scripted in the stars, a perfect blend of passion and companionship that had only grown stronger over the years. We were each other's world, and every day with him felt like a new adventure. Recently, Pat and I decided to take a vacation to rekindle our romance. It was a beautiful resort, with palm trees swaying gently in the breeze and the ocean lapping at the shore. One evening, Pat was feeling tired and decided to turn in early, but I wasn't quite ready to end the night. I found myself wandering down to the hotel bar, a place filled with the soft hum of conversation and the clinking of glasses. That's where I met him. A charming man with a magnetic presence. He was funny, attentive, and seemed utterly fascinated by everything I had to say. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was in his hotel room, swept up in a moment of reckless abandon. Waking up the next morning, I was immediately engulfed by a wave of guilt and horror. What had I done? I had betrayed Pat, the love of my life. But as I looked around the room, a different kind of horror began to set in. The room, though part of the same luxurious hotel, was starkly different from ours. It was filled with cheap, worn-out belongings. The stark contrast to the expensive room itself was jarring. I've always had a strict personal rule against dating men who weren't financially stable. It was something ingrained in me since I was young, a measure of security and assurance in a partner. But here I was, having spent the night with a man who, despite his charm, clearly didn't meet that standard. I felt deceived, manipulated even. The luxurious setting of the hotel had masked the reality of this man's situation. A part of me wondered if I should involve the police, thinking perhaps I was tricked or that this was some sort of scam. But as I sat there, amidst the chaos of my emotions, I realized the truth that I had been trying to avoid. It wasn't about the man's wealth or the state of the room. I had made a choice, a grave mistake, and the person I had really betrayed was Pat. The thought of confessing to Pat was unbearable. How could I tell him that I, his wife who he trusted and loved, had broken our vows over a fleeting moment of weakness? But the alternative, living with this secret, felt like a poison that would slowly erode the very foundation of our relationship. As I made my way back to our room, my heart felt heavier than it ever had. The sun was rising, casting a golden glow over the resort, but all I could see was the impending storm that I had brought upon us. This vacation, meant to be a celebration of our love, had turned into a crucible for our marriage. I had to face Pat and the consequences of my actions. I had to confess, not just for my sake, but for the sake of the love we had built together. It was the hardest walk I've ever had to make, each step a reminder of the love I had jeopardized and the trust I had shattered. I was about to find out if the tapestry we had woven together was strong enough to withstand the tear I had carelessly inflicted. As I stood outside the door to our room, my hand trembling as I reached for the handle, a whirlwind of thoughts battled within me. Should I involve the police? Report the man from the bar? But what would that achieve? I don't know what to do anymore. Any help is appreciated. Here are some responses she received. Response 1. Absolutely do not call the police. This situation has nothing to do with the law. It's about the commitment you made to your husband. Bringing the police into this will only create more drama and won't solve the real issue at hand, your infidelity. Pat deserves honesty from you, not more complications. You need to take responsibility for your actions and talk to him. He's the one who's been wronged here, and he's the one you should be focusing on, not trying to find ways to shift the blame or deflect from your mistake. Response 2. Calling the police won't change what you did, and honestly, it's not fair to involve them in a personal matter like this. Your actions were a betrayal of your husband's trust, and that's the core issue you need to deal with. Focus on Pat and the hurt you've caused him. He's the victim in this situation, not you. What he needs now is your honesty and willingness to make amends if he chooses to give you that chance. It's about repairing the damage to your marriage, if that's still possible, not about punishing someone else for your own choices. Update. I can't believe this is where I find myself now. After I confessed to Pat, everything went downhill, and I'm still reeling from the shock of it all. When I wrote about my situation, seeking some support or understanding, I was met with overwhelming disapproval. Everyone was against me, taking Pat's side, and now I'm facing the harsh consequences of my actions. Following my confession, Pat was devastated, and understandably so. He decided to file for divorce, and the court ruled against granting me any alimony. It feels so unfair. Yes, I made a mistake, a terrible, impulsive mistake, but does that mean I deserve to lose everything? I've been cast as the villain in this story, but isn't there more nuance to life and relationships than this black and white judgment? Now, I have no choice but to move back in with my parents. Me, a grown woman, having to return to my childhood home because of one mistake. Everywhere I turn, I'm reminded of the life I used to have, the love I've lost, and the comfort I've been deprived of. I feel like I'm being punished excessively. Isn't there such a thing as a second chance? Or is one mistake all it takes to be condemned forever? I keep thinking about how unjust this all is. Where is the compassion, the understanding that we're all human and we all make mistakes? I'm not denying that I did something wrong, but the price I'm paying feels disproportionate. It's like I've been stripped of my dignity, my security, and my future, all because of one lapse in judgment. And yet, here I am, packing my bags, preparing to leave the home I shared with Pat, the life we built together. I'm filled with regret and a sense of injustice that's overwhelming. I wish things could have been different, that there was some way to mend what I broke, but it seems like the world has turned its back on me. I'm left to pick up the pieces of my shattered life, wondering if I'll ever find a way to move forward from this. Update 2. Life has a way of throwing unexpected twists and turns. After everything that happened with Pat and the subsequent fallout, I found myself in a place I never imagined I'd be. I'm now living with my parents, which has been a humbling experience to say the least. But amidst this chaos, something unexpected happened. I met someone. He's not the type of man I usually go for, far from the successful, affluent type I've always envisioned myself with. He's quite the opposite, actually, a man with limited financial means. I know what you're thinking, but hear me out. It's not serious, at least not for me. He's kind, caring, and has been a comforting presence in a time when I've felt most alone. But let's be real here. I know this isn't going to be a long-term thing. I'm just biding my time until I can get back on my feet and find someone more in line with my standards. Someone with financial stability and security. I know some of you might judge me for this, but you haven't walked in my shoes. After losing everything, being with someone, even temporarily, who makes me feel less alone, less like a failure, is something I can't turn away from right now. He knows my situation, and I've been upfront about not being ready for anything serious. But deep down, I know that as soon as I'm able to, I'll move on to find someone who fits the life I'm used to, the life I still want. It might sound harsh, but life has been harsh to me. I lost my husband, my home, and my lifestyle because of one mistake. Now, I'm just trying to survive and find some semblance of happiness, even if it's temporary. I'm looking out for myself because, at the end of the day, that's all I really have. And when the time is right, I'll make the move to find that stability and status I've always sought, leaving behind this chapter of my life as a lesson learned. God damn, she is a stupid bitch. This has got to be the most ignorant, self-centered story I've read on here. Jesus. Anyways, let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.